Well, hello and welcome to my Christmas vlog, which is the down in the kids way of saying it's a Christmas message. So behold the splendour of Christmas here in New Zealand. I'm here in New Zealand at the end of a year which has seen dramatic change. It has been quite remarkable. When the year began back in January, I finished rebuilding Elly's engine, my 2CV, proudly displayed here, and took her up to Scotland and across to Yorkshire, and had a very jolly time. I had no idea back then that the year would see me drive through the Netherlands, Germany, Belgium, France, then into Austria and Slovenia and Croatia, and then later in the year fly to New Zealand for my winter avoidance plan, which hasn't entirely worked. The weather here hasn't been quite as lovely as I'd hoped, hence wearing a hoodie. But there you go, you can't have everything. But yeah, it's been a year beyond my comprehension when this year began. That's how quickly circumstances changed. I apologise for kicking the table the camera is sitting on. That's the professional HubNut way. So yeah, I think we better start with that Croatia trip, because obviously that was livened up. If you haven't seen the series, go and look for my Project 2CV list, and 2CV to Croatia was the specific playlist for that trip. I took my 2CV, I finished rebuilding the engine the day before I departed, and then drove her all the way to Croatia and back for the 2CV world meeting, or the world meeting of 2CV friends, and it was magical. It was an incredible event, the mission to get there and back was just unbelievable. I am very lucky to have had that opportunity, and a lot of help and support to make that possible, through the YouTube channel, and people offering spares and advice along the way. Peak 2CV, Cambridge 2CV, who I visited, Burton Car Company 2CV specialists in the Netherlands. And you know, all this was paid for, but these are good companies, and yeah, I enjoyed their help and invaluable assistance. And Colin, of course, who helped me rebuild the engine the day before I left. Various issues, various traumas, but we got there, so thank you to all those people. But yeah, not long after that 2CV trip, obviously the major problem was a failing of a rather major relationship, which I'm not going to go into the details of, but that is the catalyst for everything that followed, because I then embraced my midlife crisis, and part of that was doing the Croatia trip. But before that Croatia trip, I had already booked a ticket to New Zealand. I didn't know what would happen in New Zealand, but I thought it would probably be pretty good, and it's a place I'd always wanted to see. And the end of the relationship meant I would have no firm base, nowhere to live. So initially I thought I'd just head to New Zealand to see where I ended up. As it happens, life hasn't quite planned out the way I thought it would, so I will definitely be coming back to the UK. So there's a slight change of scope there, but very much this has been a year about making it up as I go along. And the reason things have changed, and I'm going to admit to it now, is there is a new relationship which began just before that Croatia trip, and became very intense between the Croatia trip and the New Zealand trip. So I really have a good reason to go back home. I'm not going to be introducing this lady to the channel, because frankly I think I've learnt my lesson a bit. Once you get your partner involved, it's very difficult to not have them involved. So yeah, there's some umming and ahhing there. I think she will be remaining part of my private life. But nonetheless, all those of you hoping I would bag a Sheila while I'm down under are going to be disappointed, I'm afraid, because I managed to yes, acquire a very pleasant young lady before I even left the UK. So that has changed it. It's made it really hard, because I'm on this trip, and you know, I did warn her and say I am going away for 5 months, and I can't say it's been entirely pleasant in that regard, but such is life. That's not how it was meant to pan out. Back to cars, because I think we should get back to cars. There has been some amazing achievements with cars this year. Like taking the Invacar to back to her birthplace in Essex. Go and check out the Project Invacar playlist if you haven't already. It's quite lengthy, I'm afraid. I really should do a sort of summary of my cars. That'd be a really good idea. It'd take me hours, and I'm not sure where all the video footage is, but it would be a good thing to do. 2020, there's lots of things I want to do. That's one of them. But yeah, I took her back to where she was made in Thundersley in Essex, to the exact building, in fact, and then drove her through the centre of London, and then drove her around the Goodwood Motor Circuit at the Retro Rides Weekender. Tickets for that are now on sale, by the way, for 2020, the Weekender at Goodwood. I very much hope to be there. No idea what I'll be in at this stage. Seems a bit early to think about it. I should probably book tickets. Yes, I should probably do that. So yeah, that's my hope for that, is to do that. I'm not sure which car I'll take next year. But after achieving that major box ticking exercise, it was then the Reliant Fox's turn, and managed to just about get Foxanne back on the road and ready for the Bromley Pageant of Motoring. And yeah, that was all the way in Kent, so that was a bit of a mission. But sadly, poor Foxanne, I never got that project finished enough, really. I've got a badly blowing exhaust, the engine isn't running quite as well as I'd hoped, and the interior is minging and desperately needs sorting out. So various plans to sort out there when I get back to the UK, which is another reason for wanting to get back. So many projects. Another project just before I left, the beige Toyota Tercel estate. I want to get that finished. The City Rover, there's just a few trim things I need to sort out on that, and then I'll probably be selling the City Rover because space is becoming a bit of an issue. And of course, I've added yet another car to the fleet now, because I have Betty, the Ford Fairmont, who is staring at me from just outside the window of my little unit here. She's enjoying a couple of days rest. I've been chauffeured around in a Chevrolet Corvair and an Audi TT for the past 2 days, due to my ever so generous hosts, who are also putting me up in this lovely unit. So I've got my bedroom through there. I'm making a beautiful mess of the kitchen area, as is to be expected. Look, have a very Merry Christmas on my fridge. It's lovely. So yeah, thank you Ian and Jane for putting me up. It's been blooming marvellous, and the view out the window you won't believe. I'll show you in a different video, because otherwise it'll get far too long. So I've slightly lost my train of thought. Oh yes, I have a Ford Fairmont. Now I'm going to come clear at this point, clean even. I don't think Betty the Fairmont is going to make it back to the UK, because it's going to cost somewhere in the region of £2,000, and then I'll have a car that's hugely thirsty on fuel and for which no parts really exist in the UK, and that's not really the car I need in the UK. This car is amazing here, and I'm sure a Ford Fairmont in Australia is even better. They're just built for wafting along, covering huge distance. They're not fun on the twisties, and seeing as I'm hoping to still live in Wales, where all the roads are twisty, it's not the right car, any more than the Lexus LS 400 was I had in 2018. So I think Betty's going to have to go. Quite how that happens, I don't know, but if you'd be interested in a Ford Fairmont that's had a fair bit of work done and will hopefully have a bit more done, I still want to get that car looking better, because I'm daft, but also because I miss tinkering, and I know some of you are missing the tinkering as well. And yeah, that is very much shared. I miss getting my hands on the cars and doing some tinkering. So yeah, that's another reason for looking forward to getting back to the UK. So I don't think Betty's going to come. I did briefly look at taking Betty to Australia, taking her back home, but that makes even less sense. I would have to get oh, what's the word? There's some sort of pass I would need that I've utterly forgotten the name of. Carnet, that's the phrase. I would have to get a carnet to take her to Australia, and the best I can work out is that it would cost £800 to do that here in New Zealand with New Zealand AA, but I would have to bring it back here to get some of that money back. That's not the plan at all, so cancel, just not going to do it. Besides, you can buy Ford Fairmonts and hopefully the Holden equivalents for like $500, under 1,000 Aussie dollars. So it just makes no sense at all to take that car to Australia. So she likes it here, she's happy here. If you would like to buy Betty the Fairmont, then please do let me know. You can email me at ian@hubnut.org, or no, don't leave a comment, because the comments, I can't keep up with the comments, I'll just lose the comment. Email is the best plan. But yeah, please only for that. Christmas messages, blah blah blah, it's all very nice, but my inbox just ends up running out of control, so please only message about the car. What else is there to talk about? I mean, this New Zealand trip has been incredible. It's been such hard work, and one thing I did want to discuss is now the videos are out, perhaps you can see why I ended up getting quite so broken. I did want to talk about that a bit more, the mental health, because it wasn't a depression. It wasn't that I was feeling unmotivated. If anything, it was the exact opposite. I was getting myself wound up into a complete mania. And I occasionally do this with cars. I'll get in such a mania about having to find a new car, or I'll just spend hours browsing the classifieds, usually not with a very firm idea of what I actually want, which is why I always end up with cars that don't fit the bill at all. That's where that usually goes so very, very badly wrong. It was like that, but worse. It was a very, very serious mania. I managed to upset my new girlfriend quite substantially. It was not a good time. I woke up one day with considerable regret, but the reason for that mania is the south of the South Island. You will have noticed I didn't get to spend much time in Dunedin because I had to rush to get to Invercargill to do the Bill Richardson Transport World, because I've had to bring that forward to make time to get round to Cromwell to film my little interview with Hayden Padden, which was an amazing opportunity. I wasn't going to knock that at the park. I wasn't going to say, oh no, I can't do that, it's not possible. It really was pushing it, but I knew it was pushing it, but I thought I could do it. And so I did race down from Oamaru. I would love to have spent more time in Oamaru. Fantastic town. Most people don't know about it. You must go there and meet the man who makes penny farthings. Thank you, Graham, for putting me up for a night. And so I ended up racing down the south, and I left Invercargill planning to drive up to Arrowtown, which is relatively near Cromwell, because I knew I needed to try and schedule in a day's rest to try and prepare myself for the interview. What I actually ended up doing was driving all the way over to Milford Sound. So I ended up driving 365 miles in a day on very skinny roads, and I mean that ended up being a 12-hour day of travelling. And you think that surely you can cover more than 365 miles in 12 hours, but it's the state of the roads. In fact, you're getting out of the car to look at the scenery and see what's going on, take photos, record video. It all ends up getting a bit much. But of course I spent mere minutes in Milford Sound, having driven all that way, and the best way to see Milford Sound is to jump on a boat and go for a cruise. I didn't have time for that. I just had to go, oh yeah, this is nice, jump in the car and then drive 3 hours back to Arrowtown. And at some point I will get the series going again, the series of videos. We've still got more business in Arrowtown. I found a car I wanted very much. That will be in a future video. And then I kind of had a day to rest, but then I was like, oh, but Queenstown's there, and someone said you've got to see Queenstown. So I went and did that, and went up in the cable car one evening, and so I didn't rest quite as much as I had planned to. It all got rushed, and I got massively stressed about interviewing a major rally star as well, because that's not what I do. It's not my comfort zone. My comfort zone is turning on the camera and talking about cars. So actually doing the interview, I was using this new DJI Osmo Action camera. I didn't know how well it was going to record the sound. I was having to try and hold the camera in a way that made it interesting for you, so it wasn't just looking at the two of us. It was taking in what was being talked about, as well as Hayden talking about his very interesting projects. And I got very, very stressed about that, and it was that tipped me over the edge into a complete mania. And I get some very strange symptoms during a mania as well, where I'll be lying in bed wanting to sleep, but my brain will kind of race away. Imagine what happens with a diesel engine when it starts running on its own sump oil. It just, you can't stop it. It's out of control. That's what happens to my brain. And creative ideas are flying around, bouncing around off each other. I was thinking, a really nice history video was in there lodged, and I was trying to, I ended up planning out the entire video in my head, and I wrote none of it down, so I'll have forgotten all of it, because that's just the way I operate. But yeah, so I was losing sleep, I was stressed, and I got in a big mess. Thankfully I woke up the next day, realised that, and realised I had to change how I'm doing these series of videos. So that's why now if you see episode 29, or was that the Hayden one? Yeah, I can't remember. But yeah, the 29th and early 30s episodes are going to be a couple of weeks behind the reality. Reality is I'm here in Wellington and having a jolly time. Speaking of which, this is short notice, but if you're in Wellington and the surrounding area, 28th of December, going to have a small gathering at Southwood Car Museum. I've already done a video there. I've already done 2 videos there. So yeah, the plan is to meet there and just have a bit of a social there. There is a cafe, there is facilities, plus you can also go and have a look around the museum. I've already done that, so I won't be doing that, but you're more than welcome to. Won't be driving anyone's cars on the day, I shouldn't think, so just won't be time. But yeah, 10 a.m. until lunchtime at Southwood Car Museum. Yeah, it's well worth a visit, I will say that, and I think you will enjoy my video on said museum. So yeah, that's about where I am. It's been a rather stressful year for personal circumstances, for workload as well. I quit my paid work of editing car magazines, Classic Jaguar and Retro Japanese magazine, pretty much the day my relationship failed, because I knew I wanted to do big things with this channel, and this trip is one of them. But there's also so much more I want to do. I haven't really had the time this year. It's been a very frantic year, so much going on, having to move house and move all my belongings into a unit. I really hope there are some different ideas I want to try with the channel next year, do some more historic pieces that look at the history, the fascinating history of car production. And so I want to do a bit more of that next year. As well as more road tests, because the road tests are always popular. I can't believe how popular the rail car Model T is. That video is now over 111,000 views. It's gone semi-viral, and that's really helpful, because that sort of brings in income that makes me feel better about leaving a bigger gap between the videos. It's been a bit of a spurt recently, just because I had some videos sitting there ready to go, but I am going to try and pace it out to a couple, maybe 3 videos a week moving forward, no more than that, because otherwise I just blow my brain up, it seems. So yeah, that's kind of where we are at the moment, but I think that's probably enough prattling on, to be honest. Shut up, stomach. Too much cake. Yeah, I just want to say I'm in a much better place, and that's largely down to some very, very generous people. Nick and Megan put me up north of Christchurch for a week. I spent 7 days there. These people who let me drive their Nissan Maxima, Subaru Impreza and a tractor, and then I went back there and had a week blissed out of just doing nothing. I felt terrible because they work so hard. Nick works on a farm, and Megan is a carer and also a volunteer fire person, and she had quite a busy time when I was there last time, because it's very dry, that part of the country. I left pouring west coast where it was horrendous stormy conditions, and went over to their house where everything was catching fire in the countryside because it was so dry. It's definitely a land of contrasts, New Zealand. So yeah, I'm very grateful to them. And there's been lots of other people on this trip as well. Badgertronics helped make Betty better by doing some work, so that's been a video we've done. But there's been lots of people along the way who've let me stay, have offered help. Some have taken me on guided tours. It's been, yeah, really, really nice. And I would say it's Kiwi hospitality, but some of the people are British as well, you know, people who've moved over here. But I think they very much adopted the Kiwi lifestyle, which is just be nice for the most part. This isn't the perfect country. There are problems here. Thefts from vehicles that the travelling people, not travelling people, that's not the right phrase. The freedom campers, yes. People who are camping, tourists, are having cars broken into quite a lot. Also, the Christmas rush has started now, and so just like everywhere, people are crashing on the roads. I mean, honestly, Christmas is the time to be with friends and family, so don't do anything to jeopardise that by crashing. Just an idea. But then I see America's been doing plenty of that, and the UK also. And yeah, extreme weather, all sorts. Very exciting here. Sometimes a bit too exciting. But yeah, thank you to all the lovely people. Thank you to everyone who've supported HubNut via Patreon, via the shop, via the donation option on the shop if you don't actually want some goods. Thank you to people who've joined the channel. If you look for the join button beneath this video, that's an option now. You can join us on HubNut, on YouTube rather, and I'm doing special member only vlogs once a month for those. I think going forward I might make those vlogs visible a short time later, so the members will get to ask the questions, and we'll get first glance at that video, and then everyone should see it, because yeah, I feel a bit bad hiding content permanently behind a paywall. I don't think that's very nice. So yeah, thank you to all those who've joined the channel, and all those who've said hello at events, or have donated money or parts or all sorts. Perhaps not the box of random rubbish though, that might be going too far. I'm glad that didn't set a precedent. I really don't need more rubbish. I have so much. And this journey is reminding me how little I actually need to live. Frankly, an internet connection for my laptop, a camera or two, a ukulele, and I seem to be entirely happy. So yeah, it's an interesting experiment to realise how little you need, and yet I've got a unit full of stuff back in Wales that apparently I need. Not sure I do. But yeah, without further ado, I think I will wrap this one up and just say thank you, thank you, thank you. This isn't easy. Some people think this is really easy to do this. I just set a camera rolling and suddenly money's pouring in. No, it isn't. Even that Model T video, I think that's getting on for earning me almost £100. So that's what 111,000 views does for your income. It's not much. That's why I make a lot of videos. So yeah, I'm not a millionaire, despite what some people think, and this isn't easy, which is another thing. It's quite interesting to see comments saying, oh, it's so easy and you're having the time of your life touring New Zealand. And I was just like, yeah, you try doing it. You try actually speaking to a camera, regularly putting this input out, and then having the internet comment on it. It's an interesting world, and it's a world I like very much. I'm very thank you to all those who make it possible. Definitely rambled far too much on that point. But I'm not editing this. I just want this to be one stream of consciousness, because that's the HubNut way. But I will end now by wishing you all a very Merry Christmas. I hope you all have a fantastic New Year, and let's look forward to what 2020 will bring. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'm not going to mention other stuff. I'm going to try and change my ending a bit so it doesn't get all the same. So yeah, I'll just say ho 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 and farewell.